From Nutrien Ag Solutions, I'm Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your Canadian Prairie weather story for Monday, February 6th, 2023. Another mild week on tap, relatively speaking, to the second week of February. The coldest temperatures well off to our north and to our east as we get the new week started here, and that is where they will remain for the coming week. We'll look at the satellite picture here, and we've got a couple of storm systems making their way through, one departing across the Atlantic coast here, another one starting to make its way into portions of the southwestern United States, and then all sorts of strong flow across the Pacific Ocean. We once again find ourselves kind of out of the right trajectory for more robust precipitation across the prairie. It's going to be another 5 to 7 days of some folks are going to see flurries, maybe some light accumulating snow, but really a lack of significant moisture making its way in as February really continues to look like a pretty dry month, relatively speaking here. So again, the radar picture here this morning, a couple areas seeing some flurries, kind of near Highway 16 across eastern Saskatchewan into central and southern portions of Manitoba. Maybe some light flurries in the Grand Prairie area this morning as well. We'll see a couple chances for some light snow as we head through the week, but as you see, Monday through midday Thursday, not a lot to talk about. It's that late Wednesday into Thursday system right here. This is kind of midday Wednesday into Wednesday night, and then getting into Thursday morning that expect to see maybe some minor accumulation, maybe a few inches in the vicinity of Highway 16, maybe Saskatoon, down toward Winnipeg, picking up some minor snow accumulation. Here's the NAM on the left, the European model on the right side, both with a pretty similar look here. Not much going on south of Highway 16, maybe, a dusting in some areas. And then as you get near Highway 16, very narrow corridor here, possibly picking up a few inches of snow. But again, another week with not much in the way of significant precipitation expected. And as we take this out over the next 10 days, this is your total forecast snowfall from the European model through February 15th. Again, you can kind of see the corridor here from the snow that comes during the day Wednesday, perhaps into early Thursday, and then we've got additional chances for some light flurries, but no organized corridors of significant accumulation across the prairie through the first half of February. And the reason being, we continue to see the jet stream do something like this, where we get, at times strong flow coming across the Pacific, but it splits. We get a weaker northern branch, and then the stronger jet stream winds and the more organized storm systems and associated precipitation kind of run down the Rockies and then lift from the southern U.S. through the eastern United States. So again, this is really the corridor that gets the more significant storm systems and the more organized precipitation. Meanwhile, across the prairie with that weaker northern branch, again, it's not as if it's completely quiet. We're not parked under a ridge of high pressure, but the storm systems we get are weaker, and the trajectory is not right to pull in deep Pacific or deep Gulf moisture. We just get chances for flurries, at times a shot of cooler air. We'll put this into motion, and you see the same pattern play itself out over and over again. The stronger storm systems, they kind of run down the Pacific coast, something like this, and then they lift across the southern U.S. into the eastern United States. Here's kind of a simplified view of the next 10 days. Here's where that stronger flow comes in across the Pacific, but then it runs down south across the Rockies, following the base of that trough. We get the stronger, more organized flow here. Across the prairie, we get that weaker northern branch and that split flow. And this is the result. The next 15 days from the European ensemble, the precipitation anomaly, you do get some heavier precipitation here with that stronger Pacific flow, but it doesn't make it past the Rockies. We deposit a lot of that on the west side of the Rockies across coastal portions and high elevations of British Columbia. Then we get rain shadowed across the Canadian Prairie, where again we get these systems coming across the Rockies, but it's that weaker northern branch, it's disorganized flurries, it's light doses of snow. Meanwhile, the stronger flow comes down across the Rockies and then lifts across the southern and eastern U.S., and that's why we see that corridor of heavier precipitation across this region, where we tap into the Gulf and we get the more organized storm system with the more lift throughout the atmosphere. Where the stronger jet stream winds are, that's where we get more lift, more organization of storm systems, heavier, more widespread precipitation. It's simply not the right pattern across the prairie, and we take it all the way out to mid-February. Here it is, strong flow coming off the coast of Japan across the western Pacific. The flow splits in the central and eastern Pacific, and again, then we get that faster flow across the southern United States. And if I take it even further to the 21st of February, so now we're getting into the third week of Feb, we've still got that fast jet stream flow trying to extend a little further across the Pacific. That's maybe good news as we get later into February, perhaps early March, but still, third week of February, same pattern. So I just, at this point, February is shaping up rather dry. We continue to have these chances for light doses of precipitation, but not seeing any signal for strong, robust moisture across the prairie. So I know we're looking for it, but it's looking like it's going to be late February into March if we're going to get that kind of miracle finish to the winter here to deposit some snow. I know especially across southern portions of Alberta, we're still waiting for some more snow. March, climatologically, the snowiest month of the year across that region, so it just may have to play out like that because the next couple of weeks, while there will be chances for snow, it's not going to be organized and heavy, at least as far as what I'm seeing now. So here's your next 10 days, verbatim from the European model. There's our Wednesday, Thursday snow, quiet through the weekend into early next week. Additional chances for some light precipitation accompanying the next series of systems that ride over that ridge, kind of sweep across the prairie early to mid next week. Widening the view, looking at it from the ensemble picture, again, 24-hour precipitation. What I want you really to notice is that we just continue to reload across this region right here. That's where the heaviest precipitation is. There you see it right there, the more organized storm systems. That northern branch where we see the split flow, we will at times see light snow, but you can see it's a much different look than as you head off to the south and to the east. So a couple ways to break this down from the European ensemble picture. The probability of getting more than 1 inch of total precipitation, obviously, that is most likely across the eastern half of the U.S., where we get that stronger flow, that more active storm track. That is more likely here across the Pacific, and then coastal and high elevation portions of British Columbia. Here in the middle, we really get left out. As we take a look at the probability of more than 3 inches of snow between now and February 21st. Very similar picture. We get the heavier precipitation here across coastal and high elevations of British Columbia, and then as storm systems kind of lift this direction, we get that next corridor of heavier snow on the north side of that storm track across the eastern half of Canada. But here, across the prairie into the high plains of the U.S., that's where we get chances for light snow, lacking any signal for organized precipitation, heavy precipitation across the region. Finally, the probability of 6 inches or more of total snow between now and February 21st. This really drives the point home. You're going to have to head east if you want that heavier chance of snow, that more reliable chance of heavy snow across the prairie into the northern high plains. It's not going to be over the next couple of weeks. I've still got, higher confidence that we're going to get the moisture at the end of the winter into the early spring. Higher confidence that we don't go into the next growing season with such widespread drought as we did last year. But my confidence is low in that happening over the next couple of weeks. We're going to have to continue to wait for this pattern to kind of reload, let the flow reorganize and consolidate across the Pacific, and then get that more active storm track to not take this track, but instead do something like this. Get some of these storm systems to lift across the northern plains. That would deposit more in the way of heavy snow across the Canadian prairie. The good news, if you're not getting snow, you might as well keep the mild temperatures around. That's going to be the case over the next 5 to 7 days. It does look like as we get toward mid to late February, maybe opening the door towards more in the way of shots of cold air. This pattern doesn't provide much in the way of, heavy precipitation, but it is one that's going to keep us open, at least to cooler temperature patterns. But over the next 5 to 7 days, things are going to be pretty mild. You can look at the next 10 days here in Calgary, highs above freezing, even getting up towards around 7 to 8 degrees at times. Edmonton, a little cooler, but still above freezing for much of the week with those afternoon high temperatures. Here is Saskatoon, Regina, and then we will finish in Winnipeg here again. Some shots of cooler air, but by and large, temperatures on the mild side as we head through the next 5 to 7 days.